A lot of people have sore and achy joints, and that's just because like the joint is taking most of the load. Your muscle isn't strong enough to be able to support the joint.
Welcome to the Tomorrow is Not Today podcast. You've already started to create the life you want just by being here. Designed for you as a business professional so you can be physically, mentally and emotionally healthy, more productive, less stressed and living a life you truly love. My name's Kingsley and thank you for coming on another journey with one of our uniquely qualified professionals. Brianna, thank you and welcome to the Tomorrow is Not Today podcast. So good to have you on here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Cool. I can tell you are already, which is cool. Now, as we always do, when we first get into our podcast, we get straight into the big questions that everybody wants to know. And that is, what does it mean to be fit and healthy? Because there's lots of different opinions and thoughts around what that is. From your professional experience, what is fit and healthy?
I feel like, yes, this is a very big question. And I think it's definitely different for a lot of people. So I feel like for one person, it could just be they just want to be able to move around with their kids and feel like they have the energy to do so. And for another person, that could be like they want to be doing triathlons, they want to be doing marathons, like whatever it may be, they could be doing one extreme or the other. And I think it really comes down to defining what you believe is fit and healthy to yourself, and then achieving that, because not everyone is going to have the same goal, and that is okay. And that is why there's not a specific, I guess, definition for what is being fit and healthy. However, I do think there are a lot of avenues to go down in that regard. When it comes to fit, it depends how fit you want to be in regards to, again, like the marathon, or is it strength training, or is it Pilates? What is that to you? But then the healthy sort of side of it has so many avenues, and I'm sure we're going to get into a lot of those today, because it definitely comes down to how optimal do you want to be in your health? And I guess that's a massive question, and I hope we get to dive into it.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's great. And yeah, you're right. It is. It's a massive, massive question. So I want to tackle just on what you hit on the end of there about healthy. So target audience, and most people listening to us are going to be business professionals. They could be male or female. And a lot of people are at work. They're sitting in office in front of a computer a lot. They're very high stress. And quite often they're not getting out, getting the exercise they need, getting the sun they need, eating the right foods, because it's like, I've got to throw some food in my mouth. I've got this amount of time before my next appointment and this deadline comes. What can they do? What are some basic things that they can actually implement, or what's important to just give the normal professional what you would call, okay, you're in the, what I would call the healthy bracket as an individual?
I think just a couple of basic things for people that don't really have as much time to prioritize their health, because, as you said, they're professionals, they're busy, they've got a lot going on, they may have kids and things like that as well. So I think definitely a big part of it would be, like you said, definitely needing to get sun. So instead of spending your work break inside, and like you said, these individuals are highly stressed. So one massive thing is a lot of these people skip their breaks, and as much as it could be, I feel like I'm getting more work done, I'm feeling like I'm being more productive, at the end of the day, you're probably not, because you haven't had that break to think your body needs that. And then you can be more productive later. I don't know where it is in the world, but I know that they do like 4-day work weeks and whatnot. And that's because they have found like there are science-based experiments and tests and things like that they've done where, you know, if you work for a 4-day week, you're more productive in those periods of time. So I think if you do actually prioritize taking that break and going outside for whether it be like 10, 15 minutes or half an hour, sitting in the sun, getting that vitamin D, as we know, and I'm sure you've spoken about a lot of times, in regards to getting the sunlight on you, in your eyes. All that sort of stuff is so, so important for your health, your happiness, longevity. So, like, we could go into that, but definitely like sitting outside with a coworker, if you like coworkers, or calling whoever you like and talking to a friend, because that also, having that social interaction is awesome. Or just sitting alone, listening to your favorite music or podcast in the sun, eating your food, and making sure you delegate that time as well. Or you could take that next step and go, okay, I get a half an hour break, and then maybe going the first part eating in the sun, and then going for a 15-minute brisk stroll around the street or whatever, just to get your steps in. Getting that fresh air, that sunlight, all those things are so, so important, because we actually weren't meant to be cooped up inside sitting at a laptop all day. We actually were meant to be outside predominantly most of the time. So I think definitely getting, I guess you could aim for like 7,000 steps. It's definitely awesome to get 10,000 steps a day, but it is quite hard for someone that does sit down a lot of the time. So trying to get 7,000 steps, and trying to sit outside and eat your lunch, that could just be a really, really good start. And there's so many other things that you can do, but just starting off with something simple like that could really, really help.
And that's something that really everybody can do, and we need to put in I guess, scheduled time in our lives to do that. It's interesting you mentioned about steps. A brand new stat I just saw a couple of days ago that's just come out. I'm not sure if you've seen this one or not as yet, but by doing 9,700 steps a day, you reduce the risk of dementia by 51%, which
Wow.
just totally blows my mind
Very
and totally
specific number.
supports what you're talking about, because it is a very specific number. So that research has only just come out in the last week or so. It's brand new, which I think is exciting. And what you're saying about just go outside, get your steps in, especially in front of a computer, you're actually doing that. So it's not just for now, but it's actually for our long-term benefit as well,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. So in regards to, so obviously that's getting outside, getting some exercise and that sort of thing. When it comes to regular exercise, so let's say because we've got a lot of people, I want to try and include as many people as we can here in the short time that we've got. So we've got people who they don't have a regular, consistent exercise program. They may go for a walk now and then, they go to the beach on the weekends or whatever it is they may do. What would be a good place to start as far as getting a bit of a regular exercise program in place?
I think, well, I personally have an app that is amazing. But I think for somebody that hasn't done anything, body weight can just make you sore for days after. So literally just doing, it could be like a little circuit, and it could be at your home, and you could do like maybe sit ups, some squats, some lunges. You could shoulder press your kids, like whatever it may be. It's You will probably find that you are quite sore after just doing that. And then it'll progress so much faster from there. So, like, if you don't have the time and scheduling maybe like half an hour a day if you're doing a home workout, but there's definitely so many group fitness classes and things like that where you don't have to think, and you can just go into and do these sorts of things. However, they may not be specific to like physique goals if that's what you're looking for. I guess it definitely depends on the person and what they're wanting to achieve, because those classes are great to get you moving, but I have had a lot of people come to me as a coach and go, I've been doing these classes for a long time and I haven't noticed any results. But if you're just trying to get more fit and just have your heart rate up every now and then, a couple of times a week, and get those endorphins going, that can be a really, really great start. And then, you can delve into like more of a specific thing to you, towards you and your goals, and finding something a little bit more individualized from there.
That's actually a really good point, because I've actually had a number of people say that they've tried exercising, they haven't seen results, they haven't seen, in inverted commas, a difference in themselves personally. What have you found in your years of coaching that could be the result of that?
I think For me, I think strength training is going to be always the number one way to go. I feel like those sorts of classes are great to get people moving, but they're more cardio, they're more burning calories in the now. It's not looking in the future. Whereas when you are doing strength training, there is extensive amount of benefits, such as like supporting your joints and bones. Like a lot of people have sore and achy joints, and that's just because like the joint is taking most of the load. Your muscle isn't strong enough to be able to support the joint. So a lot of the time people don't realize that, and when you're doing those classes, they often get you to do lots of jumping things, jumping jacks, jumping squats, box jumps, whatever it may be. It's a lot of plyometrics, and that can be a lot for somebody that doesn't have muscle built around their joints and it's not supporting that. So it's literally just say your knees. A lot of people have issues with their knees or their hips, and that is what takes the load most of the time. And it can actually be more harm than good for a lot of people. So I know strength training is a hard one because, especially for females, it's becoming more common. However, it's still such a scary topic for a lot of females just to go in the gym and start lifting weights. It is a lot, but it's going to be the number one thing for longevity. It's going to support bone health, ligaments, all that sort of stuff, as well as being able to maintain results and see results in the long term. Because whereas like HIIT classes or like cardio or running, they're great for if you want to be fitter or endorphins or just moving your body, and it's a free thing that you can do. However, when it comes to strength training, you are building up muscle mass, and I think it's after the age of 27, don't quote me on that, but that's when your body starts deteriorating in muscle mass, and your body wants to prioritize that over body fat. So a lot of the time, that's when elderly people will significantly see a difference when they do start strength training. And it does not have to be powerlifting or weightlifting or keep lifting heavy. It's just getting the stimulation through the muscle and working it consistently. And in turn, when you build more muscle, your metabolic rate usually will go up because you have a lot more muscle in your body, and therefore can consume more calories, but you'll also be able to have a better body composition. So less body fat, more muscle. You often get a lot of cardio bunnies have like that skinny fat look, and I know it's a horrible thing to say, but like I've had people say it to me, I'm sick of looking skinny fat, and it's just because they're obsessed with cardio and it's just burning calories. It's not actually building upon your body composition. And a lot of females definitely get scared off, like, I don't want to be too big or bulky. But the thing is that female genetics generally do not allow you to do that unless you're taking something. A lot of females cannot build that kind of physique unless you are just like a genetic queen, I guess. And it's just like you have this next level genetics, which I do have a friend like this, and all she ever did was pole dancing, and she's jacked and she never even strength trained. She just pole danced and she's jacked. But the other pole dance people that she danced with were like, they didn't look the same. So it's definitely a genetic thing in that case. However, it's extremely, extremely hard to get bulky. You will just notice that goal that people want, the toned, defined, tighter looking physique, that is what a lot of females want. And that is what strength training is going to get you, because, having like tighter skin through having bigger muscles is going to help. But when I say bigger muscles, it's not generally like massive like a dude. It's definitely just getting that definition there, and reducing your body fat, and that's what strength training will definitely help you do.
Wow, I feel like I've just had a university level degree in weight training and fitness right now. That was absolute gold. That
Sorry.
was so cool. There's a huge amount in that. No, it's great. It's great. I just hope people rewind that and listen to it, because there's so much to take out of what you just said in that. It was awesome. I'm going to go back and hit on a couple of things. Firstly, years ago, and in all transparency, Brianna is my daughter. So yes, I am very proud of where she's done, where she's gone, and what she's doing right now, and the knowledge that she has, and how she's been able to help people. People listening and watching, just to let you know, it's an ongoing. I don't know how much time and money she spent on her education, but I can tell you it's a never-ending process, which is why there's so much good information coming through now. But I remember years and years ago, I think you were the first person to actually tell me this. when it comes to your working out and things like that and getting the ideal weight, it's like, I think you said, I could have the figure wrong, but like 80% of it or something like that is in regards to what we eat. So it's not just working out and the exercise and things like that, but it's actually what we actually eat. Can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Yeah. So I love learning about nutrition because there is so much coming out in studies in regards to like the gut. And the gut is like the hot topic right now, just like probably cold showers and things like that. I just think we do not know enough about the saying, you are what you eat. And I didn't really realize what the saying, you are what you eat, meant until like recently. Like it does not mean like you eat a whole lot of fatty foods and sugar and you're going to become like fatty and whatnot. It really comes down to like, we are feeding our kids when they are so young sugar, and we wonder why there is such an increase in conditions like ADHD. You give a kid sugar, they go crazy and wild and can't sit still, and then they crash and sleep. Like, I don't know if there's any studies done and linked with giving kids sugar and ADHD, but that's just an example. And it's just like, if you open your eyes a little bit more to all that sort of stuff, it can be quite scary that the food that we are consuming is damaging a lot of what we should be. And I think a lot of the time it's people like, oh, one donut won't hurt, or having that balance. And I really was pushing flexible dieting and you can have it all and things like that. But I have noticed recently, and I have been doing a lot more research, and I have a gut mentor who I've been learning a lot of. And I want to be able to offer that as a service to my clients in the future, but it's just a lot to take on. And I need to be like, learning so much more within the next couple of years to be able to provide that as a service, because I want to feel confident in what I know. But from what I've learned so far, it's just crazy that like just pure sugar, or a lot of the things that humans have done to food and modified it's actually not great. It's really, really not great for our bodies. Things like even bread, they're putting sugar in, and all that sort of stuff can really affect your gut microbiome. And a lot of people, pretty much every human in the world, if you've got a gut, you have gut issues. And we tend towards the foods like donuts and lollies and pastries and pizza and things like that, because those foods have been created. You can get that like back in caveman days. That wasn't a thing. They're not sitting in their caves eating pizzas. Like, that's just not it. And like, I just think we don't realize that, yes, we always refer back to that, but that's because that's it all comes down to that, like humans over the years have really affected what is in foods, how it's created to make more money, to actually, I personally think, and I hope this doesn't get a lot of hate, but I personally think like the government loves this little vicious cycle where they're giving us foods that actually affect our health, and then you're going and paying for the doctor, and then the doctor's prescribing you a medication, and then medication you're buying, and it all goes back to the government. It's a vicious cycle, and then at the end of the day you end up in hospital when you're older and you've got all these issues, and you're constantly paying the government all this money because they are genetically modifying, or not genetically modifying, but modifying our food, and that is affecting our gut at the end of the day. So and it's so hard because it's so expensive. All the foods that we shouldn't eat and easy accessible foods, fast foods, are so easily to get if you're just like, you're not prepared. And making healthy food costs more, and it costs more in time as well. And it is so hard to eat healthy because it is that way, and they've made it so hard. And like, you go into like Flannery's and everything is like 3 times the price, but that's because it's been not been sprayed with pesticides or chemicals, and it's not been in like white flour is bleached and all this sort of stuff. It's just like, there is so much more to it than we realize, and we don't realize that some fruits, what's actually in them, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure carrots were meant to be white. I don't know if that was actually a thing. I heard it once upon a time, could be when I was 10 years old and had no idea and believed anything. But I just know that there is like so many modifications in the food that we eat, even healthy food. So like, yes, buying all organic and stuff is so expensive, and one day I would love to be able to do that because I just know it's so much better for you. But it's just crazy what it can do. And then we're all stuck here like worried about why we're getting, acne, or why we're getting rashes, and why we're feeling always so tired and lethargic and we can't be bothered to get up, or all these sorts of things, constant headaches or whatever it may be. All these sorts of things are affected by the foods that we've consumed since we were young, and we don't actually realize that it all constantly comes and builds up and catches up with us at the end of the day. So I personally am trying to go 90 days with no sugar, no gluten, no dairy. And I have found, and it's only been 2 weeks now, but the first probably 3-4 days, I was like, give me sugar. I need sugar. I just want sugar, because I was a sugar addict. Like, it is actually so real that majority of people, like, they're like, I can't give up sugar. It's too hard. It's like, yeah, give it 3 to 5 days. And then after that, you won't like really be worried or craving that sugar. You're like, yeah, I would love a donut, but like, I couldn't care for it. Like, usually it would be like someone would bring up donut. I'm like, I need it. And then if I don't get it, I'm just going to constantly be thinking about it until I do eat it. So now I don't feel that. My energy is so much better. This all kind of stemmed down. I had acne and I wanted to fix my gut, and that's what I'm currently doing so that I can have clear skin. But there's so much more that goes on, and to be able to see those benefits over time. But yeah, I think we really do need to watch a lot more of what we eat and just prioritize that, because like in the future, like you're doing it for your future self. So later on, you may end up with all these different, what are they called? I've gone completely blank, like medical conditions or issues. And that's just something that you wouldn't think back and relate it to all the food that you used to eat, all the crappy foods that you were consuming over time. But if we can, like, you can make amazing meals like with whole foods. Like, I literally make this nachos meal, and I like slice up my potatoes, put some herbs in olive oil, and put it in the air fryer. And I do it and like for a long time so that it goes like crunchy. And then I put like chicken or pulled beef or whatnot on it. And I mix up like my avocado with like tomato and cucumber, and that's my guacamole. I can't have onions at the moment. And then you put like, I use like bone broth mayo. It is like the best thing ever. I know it sounds horrific and people are like, ew, what the hell? It is expensive, but it tastes amazing and it is so good for you. And then that's like kind of my like sour cream. And then I used to sprinkle cheese on it. I'm still trying to find like a alternative for that for now. But it's literally like so delicious. And I know it is a lot more time and energy put towards it, but you are investing into your future self at the end of the day when you are eating cleaner. And it's just so easy to just be conscious of that when you are shopping and thinking of things like that. I feel like I went every which way on that, but I hope that
you've covered our whole menu, which is awesome. And we will be putting links to your social medias, because you've got all your recipes, watching you cook the whole lot on there, which are just absolutely amazing. What you come up with is stuff we look at it and go, wow, how did you even think about that? Or think that's an amazing idea. We've got to try it and do that, which is just awesome. So just real briefly, because you've hit on a whole ton of stuff there, which is great. And there's two things I want to hit on. Number one, if people want to get started eating more healthy, so you've talked about pulling out the gluten and dairy and different things like that. What is something they can, put in quite easily? Because especially with the gut health, there's things like kimchi and all sorts of different things like that, the right yogurts and things. What's a couple of things people can easily do to start swapping some things over, I guess?
I think it's really hard because everyone has different gut issues, and say things like kimchi can be good for some people, but for myself, maybe not at the moment because of like methylation issues, like things like that in the gut. So, like, you don't know until
Mhm.
you've had tests to know what you should be doing. But when it comes to eating healthier, it's not so much what you can, I guess, add to your diet. I guess like the basics of like fruits and vegetables and things like that. But sometimes fruits can actually upset some people's stomachs. So it's really hard to like specifically give people certain things.
Mhm.
But literally, it would just be more so like taking some things out. And I know a lot of people think, oh, I can't live without my chocolate or whatnot. But it's like if you cut out all processed sugar for like just give it like 5 days, you will notice such a big difference in your bloating. I have done this with some clients who have actually said to me, yep, I will commit to it. I've been like, can you do this? I just want to try or something. And the difference in not their body weight, but their body composition, a lot less fluidy, a lot less bloated, a lot less gassy, a lot less
Wow.
uncomfortable in their stomach, and so much leaner just by not even losing weight, but just by eating whole foods. And that literally comes from like when you think whole foods, it's like if it's not picked off a tree, then it's probably not whole foods. So, or like wherever you get whole foods. Even breads these
Yeah.
days is probably good to steer clear from. Even gluten-free breads, like there is a molecule, I won't go into it too much, called gliadin, but this can cause a lot of upset and inflammation in the stomach. And even in gluten-free breads from Flannery's that are like $10 loaves or $20 loaves, like they still can have this molecule in it. So it's really hard for, yeah. So how are we supposed to know this? We're not educated on this. We don't get educated on it. I don't think the
That's why
government
you're
wants
here.
us to. Yeah, and I just think all these like big companies just want us to like they want to make more money, so like the expensive things have like for example, like bread should just not be like you shouldn't be able to do this with it. It should pretty much crumble. Like when it's a proper bread, it should pretty much crumble. But over time we've changed it so that it tastes better and you want more and you buy more and you invest into these companies more, and that's why that these foods are like highly palatable foods and addicting foods. Like they have done
Mm.
research on what stimulation happens in the brain when you eat certain foods, when you get dopamine, when you get those hits of certain things. And that's why we constantly want sugar and crave sugar and think about sugar all the time, because they have made these foods like that. So you buy more of their product. And so steering clear of those sorts of foods and trying to have literally just like meat, veg, rice, potatoes, those sorts of things are going to be so beneficial for you. And just trying to steer clear of like, yeah, literally just take sugar out of your diet for 5 days, and see like just write like maybe like a diary and be like, how do I feel each day? Like I'm craving sugar day 1, day 2, day 3, but day 4 I'm like I could live without it. Day 5 I'm like I can talk about it and be okay. Like,
Mm.
and it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Like if I bring up like a donut to someone, like used to be me, if I bring up that donut, it's like give it to me now. Like I need it, and then I want another one every single day. But now I'm like, I can talk about it and I don't feel the need to go get one. And it's just like, it
Yeah.
is like so hard because we are addicted to those things. So literally just trying to put more vegetables in your life. And I know people don't think, oh, the frozen veggies are good, but most of the time they are sealed when they are ripe. So a lot of the time they have jam-packed nutrients in them as well. So it can literally be frozen veggies, and that's okay. And just focusing on whole food. So rice, when you're cooking, it could be like rice, chicken, and veg. I know that sounds like the typical bodybuilder thing, but it could be like anything. You could make like a shepherd's pie with, you literally put in the mince, you could put like the peas, carrot, and corn, and then do your sauce, whatever you like, and then potatoes, and mash the potato on top, and then you could literally put that in the grill and have like it like crispy on top for like cottage pie. So it's actually so easy to make these recipes. You just got to be conscious of it. And a lot of the time we try and be chefs, and that's just not the way to go about it, because at the end of the day, like, we are not chefs. We do not have time to be chefs. The food that chefs cook have like 30 different ingredients in it, and that's just way too hard. So sometimes literally just going, what is the basis of my meals? You have your carbs, your proteins, your fats. Where is it coming from? And then add a sauce. And pretty much all my meals consist of that bone broth sauce. My favorite one is the Better Belly barbecue. I wish I was sponsored or had an affiliate link, but I do not. It's just so good. I get it from Nutrition Warehouse, Flannery's, or like any health food shop. But that just like makes it so much better. So you're not putting barbecue sauce or sauces with all sorts of ingredients that you can't even pronounce or know. But there is this app called, I don't know if it's Yuka, whatever you want to call it. It's YUKA, and it's an app where you scan things. You can scan deodorants, household products, makeup, and it comes up with like a rating out of 100. And it just gives you an idea of like, what are the bad things in it, what are the good things in it, and sometimes it gives you like an alternative. Maybe try this, it's better for your health. And it's just really cool because it's a free app that you can use, and you can scan things and really see what you're actually putting into your body. And I know a lot of people will be like, I'd rather just not know, and ignorance is bliss. But if you are wanting to look for longevity, small little things that you can change in your life, like, these are such simple things that you can do. And it's just like committing to it. A lot of the time we just have to, I'm going in a different direction now, but like, if you want to identify yourself as a healthy, fit person, you have to walk the walk of that person. You can't go, I'm going to do everything I do now, and I'm just going to be calling myself a healthy and fit person. But in order to do that, like, what we do and what we think identifies us as who we are. What we do repetitively is what creates who we are. So I personally identify as a consistent, healthy person who loves health and fitness, who loves that whole thing. And I research weekly, daily, in regards to learning more stuff about how to better my training, how to better my nutrition, how to optimize my health. I'm consistent. I can't remember the last time I took a week off. It was probably 2 years ago when I got COVID, and I had to take a week off. Like, you're not allowed to go outside. So like, these things, it's just because I live and breathe this stuff and I love it. And that's okay if you don't. But it's like, if you want a week off here or there and you just want to go for walks instead of training, that's all good. But you have to identify yourself as that person. And if you do not, then you're just going to be back in that vicious cycle of putting on weight and going and being a sugar addict and things like that. So if you want to make that change, you have to choose to make that change and believe that you're going to make that change. It's like when, like, a smoker, say a newly quitting smoker gets asked, oh, like, do you want to smoke? I thought you smoked. And they're like, oh, I don't smoke anymore. That's giving opportunity, or like, that's giving opportunity to say like, oh, we'll just have one, like, it's just for a social event. It's like, you could literally, instead of saying I'm not a smoker anymore, or I don't smoke anymore, whatever, you can say I'm not a smoker. Like, you have identified yourself as not a smoker, but you are opening the doors to say I'm not a smoker anymore, but it doesn't mean that you could potentially be one again. So you've got to identify yourself as the person you want to be and walk the walk and fake it till you make it. It does not matter. Walk into the gym, own that, because like, there are so many people and everybody starts somewhere. You just have to get in the gym, and it doesn't matter if you look like a goof. If someone's laughing at you instead of coming up and saying, hey, let me show you how to do it so you don't get injured, then that's a character on them. That's not a character on you. So they're just standing there laughing at you rather than helping you, you know? So everybody starts somewhere, and it's so fine. And a lot of the time people stick to machines, and I think that's a great way to go when you first start, because machines, like, they show you the stability, they show you how to do things, and you can, the gym I work at, you can literally scan the QR code and it pulls up a video of how to actually work the machine. So it can be so simple these days, and it's just about like applying yourself and committing yourself 100%, because, and it doesn't have to be, sorry, I shouldn't say 100%. You just have to commit to wanting to be a better version of yourself, because at the end of the day, it's progress, not perfection. And when we really try and aim for that perfection, and a
Mm.
lot of females do. We aim for that, it's just never going to happen, and we get pissed off and overwhelmed, and we think we fail, but you cannot fail if you don't give up. If you're having a bad week and you can't go to the gym, cool, that's okay. Start again the next week. That is so fine. As long as you don't quit, you will never ever fail. And I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong. We just need to stop trying to be perfect, because we're human, we're not robots, we're not meant to be perfect, and that's what makes us who we are. So yeah, I think that thing about identifying yourself and walking that walk, believing you are that person, it'll happen.
Health, nutrition, fitness, mindset, all in the one space there. And it's true, it's all part of the same thing. And that's one of the things we try to push, not push, but tell people here. You're one person. You can't do one thing and have one area good and the others not good and expect to be a good, whole, healthy, feeling, looking person that's going to operate well. And what you were talking about there as well with doing all these things, when people do get tired at work, or not feel like getting up and exercising and things like that, it could be a lot of times what we're actually eating, what's going into our guts, etc. So it's critically important, all of that sort of thing. While we're on it, I want to hit another topic that most people don't want to go into, but I think is really important, especially from a personal trainer's perspective. And I know you work with a lot of, well, I think 100% women you work with, isn't it? Is it all
Yeah.
girls you train?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would know this very well, and being one is probably bonus in how to know this well. Is the fact of like, because a lot of people, and you sort of were edging towards it a little bit before, as far as the girls look at that perfect bikini body. And they want to be that. They see it on Instagram. They see it on the magazines. They see it on TV. As all these. You might get a famous movie star or someone who 4 weeks after they've had their baby and look at their body and all this sort of thing. And it's like, it's a big thing at the moment, this whole body image type of thing. But I'd love to bring some reality and practicality to this, take pressure off people, and bring the reality to it. I know my wife was at the gym about a week ago, and there was a girl come in who wasn't the typical fit, but she got on the machine and she just killed that thing. The weights were up. She didn't put out a sweat. She was obviously afterwards, she could see she was actually not just she was actually a very fit individual who knew who she was and owned that. But she wasn't a bikini model. But she was quite happy with who she was. And to me, that's a very different image to what we're being portrayed. Can you explain through your training and what you've learned and how you train other people, what the reality is there?
Hmm. I think, like you said, we do put the pressure on ourselves a lot of the time. And when I first started, it's like, what does fit mean to you? What does healthy mean to you? And that's something you've got to figure out for yourself. I think a lot of the time it's like,
Mm.
what are you willing to sacrifice, or what are you willing to commit to be like a next level optimal health? Or like, are you just wanting to be fit and healthy for longevity? And I think when it comes to body image, it's exactly the same. It's like, do you want to still like, go out and drink with your friends and have meals out every single weekend and things like that? And you can do it in a way where you can still hang out and socialize. I do, and make home cooked meals, or I don't love going out very often, like even just to take out restaurants. I do like cooking at home. I've found a love for that, and I know not a lot of people do, but I think it's definitely what you want to do and how you want your lifestyle to be. Because at the end of the day, you don't walk around with a number in your head at saying how much you weigh, and people don't love you for that. They love you for who you are. So I think we often,
Mm.
it's more of an us thing. It's an our insecurity, and that we need to more of the mindset shift and go, you know what, I love my body all year round, like no matter what it is. And you see those bikini competitors that look so shredded and so lean and incredible, and it's inspirational and whatnot. And I get asked all the time, are you ever going to compete? And that's just a hard pass for me, because in my head, I know, and I speak to, and I have close friends that do those things, but they are at their most unhealthiest. They are hating life. They are not like, they have no energy. Their training performance is crap. Like, they feel really pretty average a lot of the time. They're starving themselves. Yeah, they may look amazing, but they don't even look like that all year round. And I think having that as like put on a pedestal for you is just, it should not be the case. Like, I will do a cutting phase and I'll get super duper lean, but I don't look like that all year round. And I may not get as lean as these competitors, but I think a lot of the time it's like, we need to understand that having a little bit of body fat on our body, having a little bit more pudge around our stomach is okay. You're enjoying your life, you're having fun, you're actually living your life a lot of the time. And like I said, like, this is something I live and breathe and I love it. And it's not what everyone has to be. They can just enjoy it and, fluff around. It doesn't have to be like on point with everything, which I do because I love it, and that's what gives me joy, and that's what I find passion in. And I do it as a social thing on the weekend. So for me, having like a lean physique is common because I do the things to have a lean physique. But at the same time, if you're just, a Gen Pop person who just wants to be a little bit fitter and a little bit healthier, it is so, so okay. And I think we get in our heads a lot. And I've dealt with a lot of clients who are always trying to chase that abs and just like defined arms and chiseled everything all the time. And it's just like that is actually like pretty hard for even myself. Like, I can't stay that lean all year round. Like, it is so, so hard to do. And most of the time you're not happy when you're doing it. I just remember, like, I never wanted to see anyone. I constantly was like, no, I can't eat that, or just like, I'm not allowed that, or let me track it. And it's just like, you're a party pooper, you're annoying, and all you're trying to do is get abs. Like, you're not actually having fun. So like, at the end of the day, it's like, it shouldn't be like, the Victoria's Secret model should not be a role model. And I love that the body positivity image is coming in, and it's awesome. There is, I won't touch on too much, but a too far extreme where it's like, that person's actually overweight, obese, and unhealthy, and we shouldn't be promoting that. But there is an in between where it's okay to have body fat. It's healthy to have body fat. It's normal to have body fat, and we all have it, and we all should have it. Cellulite is normal. I have it. Men don't usually have it, but most females do, and it's normal, and it's okay, and it's beautiful. And if we can love ourselves, confidence speaks so much louder than your physique. If you are walking in confidence, and like you said with that lady walking in the gym, she's an inspiration to, like, your wife, like Lisa, she's an inspiration now, because she's like, wow, if she can walk in here and just lift a heck of a lot of weight and just walk around with confidence, that's an inspiration. People see that differently, and they're like, I want that confidence. But it all stems to like your mindset and how you perceive yourself. So if you've got a little bit of extra body fat on you, but you're confident and walking happy chappy, you're going to make a lot more people's lives than if you're shredded and miserable and have no energy. Like, it's really up to you what you want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome, because the tagline of Tomorrow is Not Today is create the life you want. And I think what you're talking about there is, and what we're all talking about the whole time, is the fact of, who do we want to be? It's not, not trying to be somebody else or that person, or we're not comparing with that person. Who do we want to be? What is our identity, like you were talking about? What do we want our identity to be? What do we want to be like for our kids? What do we want to be like when we present at business, when we're going into meetings, when we're at home relaxing? Who do we want to be? And what's the best way to be that best person that we can be? And everyone's best person is different, because everyone's goals are going to be so different. And I think it's important to keep exactly what you were saying in track of, the pin-up images aren't accurate or be necessarily good for everybody anyway. And, that's a very short period of their life that they may not even be enjoying. It looks like it's great, but it may not necessarily be enjoying. So you can probably hear my dogs in the background. I do apologise for that one, but anyway, we'll deal with her later. So just as we come to a close, there's so many more questions I would love to go into and so much more I'd love to ask, but we're getting out of time at the moment. But I always ask a couple of questions at the end of the podcast. Tomorrow is not today. It's all about creating the ultimate tomorrow. So when I ask you, Bree, what is the ultimate tomorrow?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think the ultimate tomorrow. I think, again, as I've been saying, that's totally up to a you thing. But for me, the ultimate tomorrow is just doing what I can every single day to be in the position I want to do. And if, say, for example, today I'm not feeling it, I don't want to do all the things that I need to, I'm listening to my body and I'm going, okay, cool. I'm going to have a day. I'm going to let myself like relax and not put the pressure on myself, because sometimes pressure can stress you and make it worse. So I think just doing all the things, ultimate tomorrow, doing all the things that I want to become the person I want to be. So putting those things in place. And sometimes that does come with resistance, and I may not want to do specific things and I need to push through that. But I think, a lot of the time it's just like working on the things that I love, doing the things that I love, and just being around the people that I love. So I think, the ultimate tomorrow is just, setting myself up today for that ultimate tomorrow and doing everything in my power to do that. Is that a good answer?
No, that's good. And you sort of covered my next question while you were doing that as well, the follow-up question, which is how do you create that ultimate tomorrow? But I think you've sort of covered that. Or is there anything else you want to add on there?
No, I think just, like doing the things that I value to create that ultimate tomorrow for myself.
Yeah, cool. I think that's a great message for everybody. What's the ultimate tomorrow for you? Not the person next to you, not someone else, but for you as an individual. That's really cool. Now, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, learn more about you, maybe jump on, do one of your online courses, or maybe use you as a personal coach, how can they find you?
I am on Instagram at Coached by Bree, so coached with an ED. I am also on Facebook, Coached by Bree, and TikTok as well. You can always send me an email. It's info@coachedbybree, and I do face-to-face sessions at EMF in Robina on the Gold Coast, or I do online coaching as well, and that all comes down to everything involved is, I like to call it coaching because it's more coaching rather than just a PT. Coaching all things mindset, training, nutrition, all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. And I would certainly encourage people to do that. Jump on the Instagram. If nothing else, jump on the Instagram, have a look at some of the recipes and the cooking there. They're really awesome. And I am just going to say one thing that has stood out in my mind since you first started training, and I think it's one of the reasons for your success outside of all the learning and growing that you do, is that you see a lot of PTs and they've got somebody signed up and they've got someone doing an exercise and they're on the phone playing with things or looking what's going on over there. And I've always noticed whenever I've seen you training that you are 100% focused on that person the whole time through. And it boggles my mind how you do that incredible focus, making sure they make the biggest difference. And I remember we were at the gym one time doing I think it was a Romanian deadlift or something. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is pretty easy. And you come along and you went, okay, just tweak this, just do this slight adjustment. And I kept doing it. And it was really, really hard. Just having an expert like you know just small adjustments makes a massive difference to the results we can actually get. I was blown away and very sore afterwards.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time for most people, it's like they watch a video and that's all good and well. And I think it's awesome just taking initiative and going in the gym. But sometimes like those tiny tweaks that you can't even see, it's just like, hey, just try and think about this and maybe shift this. And like the efficiency of the exercise can be like twofold better then. So sometimes it does come down to that. And
Oh, it was massive. Unbelievable difference. Bree, thank you again so much for being on the Tomorrow Is Not Today podcast. Make sure you jump on, check out where she is. If you want to get in touch with her, by all means do that. And thank you. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you for having me.